What if I told you the most dangerous man in any room is the one who refuses to defend himself? Not because he's guilty. Not because he's weak. But because he knows the truth. The second you explain yourself, you've already lost. The Machiavellian art of non-defense. In the intricate dance of power, the moment you feel the urge to defend yourself, is the moment you surrender control. Most people instinctively explain, clarify, and justify when questioned or accused. It feels like the right thing to do. It feels noble, reasonable, even necessary. But Machiavelli would scoff at that instinct. He understood something brutal and timeless. Power doesn't come from proving your innocence. It comes from making justification unnecessary. The fatal flaw of explanation. When someone accuses you of arrogance, coldness, manipulation, indifference, the average person tries to fix the narrative. That's not what I meant. You're misunderstanding. I'm not like that. But this is the trap. Because defending yourself grants authority to your accuser. You've accepted their frame. You've agreed that their opinion has weight. And now you're playing by their rules. Even if you're right, you've lost. Because power is perception. And nothing looks weaker than needing to explain yourself. Why the strong stay silent. Real power moves in silence. When you don't defend yourself, you send a far more potent message. I don't need your approval. I'm not on trial. You don't get to define me. This isn't cold indifference, it's psychological strategy. It forces the attacker to sit alone with their accusation. They wanted control, but now they're left with their own echo. They lash out again, hoping to provoke. You remain calm. They spiral. You rise. This is how empires are built, without words. Let them drown in their own fire. Picture a public moment, a subtle jab at your character. The room watches. The expected response. Defensiveness. The Machiavellian response. Stillness. No denial. No smirk. No shift in your breathing. Just presence. And suddenly, all eyes turn not to the accusation, but to your lack of reaction. They ask, why didn't he respond? What does he know? Why does he seem stronger now? You've reversed the frame. You're not on defense. You're the mystery. The coldest move, inverting the blade. Sometimes, silence isn't enough. You take it a step further. You turn the accusation into a mirror. You're manipulative. Interesting how often that word comes up when people don't get what they want. You're arrogant. Confidence seems to bother you. You're fake. Authenticity doesn't mean access. You didn't deny. You didn't flinch. You simply flipped the energy and handed it back. And now they scramble to explain. This is power judo, using their emotional force to collapse them. In relationships and the real world. In business. A rival says, I don't think that's a solid strategy. Most would explain, defend, backpedal. You pause. Wait. And say. All right. Let's hear yours. Now they're in the spotlight. They have to prove. And you're back in control. In personal life. A partner says, you don't care anymore. Don't explain. Don't rush to fix their mood. Pause. Look them in the eye and say. That's not how I see it. Calm. Grounded. No explanation. Suddenly they feel the weight of their words. The nuclear option, disappearance. When the insult runs deep, or the attack is meant to provoke a war, don't reply at all. No text back. No block. No reaction. Just total stillness. You've denied them emotional oxygen. And they begin to suffocate on their own narrative. They obsess. replay it, spin themselves into confusion. Meanwhile, you move on. Untouched. Unbothered. This isn't ghosting, it's tactical vanishing. You've made a statement without saying a word. You are not worth the response. The ultimate frame control, make them the problem. Use their accusation as a spotlight on their own insecurity. You're always in control. Does that make you feel out of control? You act like you're above people. Only people who feel beneath me say that. You think you're perfect. Strange how often people project that. No anger. No edge. Just ice. They look insecure. You look like the one who's already won. Online power plays, narrative mastery. In the digital world, people bait you constantly. They post, poke, and prod, hoping to drag you into public warfare. Don't bite. Someone comments. You're toxic. Don't explain. Post this. People always call you toxic when they can't control you. Now who looks strong? Now who's on defense? You haven't defended. You've dominated. 3 Machiavellian weapons of non-defense. Silence, the deadliest. It makes your enemy unravel themselves. Deflection, shift the narrative. Make them the focus. Precision cuts, short, sharp lines that shut it all down. Examples. You're so full of yourself. Confidence offends the unsure. You're fake. I don't owe anyone my reality. You think you're better. No, I just don't think like you. Final form, become untouchable. This is bigger than words. This is about becoming immune. No explanation. No apology. Just presence. Aura. Stillness. People begin to feel that you are unreachable. Not because you're hiding, but because you're above the fray. That's when the real shift happens. People don't attack you anymore, not because they respect you, but because they fear the silence that follows. Your lack of defense becomes legend. The paradox of power. The more you defend, the more guilty you look. The less you explain, the more powerful you seem. Machiavelli's wisdom wasn't about politics. It was about psychology. About how people perceive you, and how to control that perception without ever raising your voice. The man who doesn't flinch when attacked becomes a mirror. He reflects your instability, your neediness, your emotional mess. And while you perform your collapse, he watches. Build the aura, one stone at a time. Stop explaining. Stop correcting. Stop chasing clarity. Let the noise rise, and remain unmoved. Use short closers, noted. Time will tell. That's your view. And always remember. The Machiavellian man doesn't need to be understood. He needs to be respected, feared, and untouchable. Endgame, you don't play defense. You define the game. The one who never explains controls the room. The one who never reacts controls the story. And the one who stays silent, becomes the standard by which others are measured. When you embody this, you don't just win the interaction. You become the interaction. Let them talk. Let them accuse. Let them scream for your reaction. And give them nothing. Because you're not here to defend yourself. You're here to dominate, without saying a word. Conclusion, the silent throne, why the man who doesn't defend himself becomes untouchable. In a world addicted to explanation, where everyone rushes to justify their intentions, clarify their positions, and prove their worth, the one who remains silent rises above the fray. He becomes an enigma. A fortress. A man whose value is not subject to trial, whose image is not dictated by rumor, and whose power is not negotiated with the mob. This is not just a tactic, it is a philosophy. It's not merely psychological warfare, it is philosophical sovereignty. The refusal to defend yourself is the ultimate rejection of emotional slavery. It's the discipline of saying, I do not exist for your comfort. I do not owe you my side of the story. I do not bow to public interpretation. Why? Because you understand something most don't. The more you explain, the more they own the frame. The more you defend, the more you bleed. And the more you clarify, the more uncertain you seem. Silence, on the other hand, does something explanation never can: it creates myth. When you don't respond, people begin to wonder. They begin to overthink. They begin to fill in the blanks with fear, respect, or awe. Your stillness creates narrative tension. The absence of your explanation becomes presence. And presence, in the realm of power, is everything. The man who defends is at the mercy of the crowd. Most people don't explain because it's strategic, they explain because they're afraid. They're afraid of being misunderstood, mislabeled, cast out, judged. They fear losing their status, their social safety, their emotional validation. But here's the brutal truth: once you fear being misunderstood, you're already enslaved to public perception. You've handed over your internal sovereignty to the whims of others. You're no longer living by truth, but by optics. And once you fight for optics, you've already lost control of your own image. Machiavelli understood this well. He knew that reputation matters more than truth, and that controlling perception is the highest form of influence. But he also understood that perception is rarely controlled through reaction, it's shaped through restraint. The man who says little commands more than the man who argues a lot. Because in the silence, others project. And they tend to project fear, strength, or mystery, not weakness. Why the silent are respected and feared. Have you ever noticed how the people who are hardest to read command the most attention? It's because silence hints at composure. And composure hints at danger. When a man doesn't flinch under accusation, when he doesn't panic, overtalk, or fidget to defend his image, people wonder what kind of strength he must possess to stay so calm. They wonder what he knows. What he's hiding. What he might be capable of. This is no accident. Machiavellian power doesn't seek to be liked. It seeks to be untouchable. Silence, when used correctly, does three things simultaneously. It reflects insecurity back to the accuser. It elevates your status by showing that you're unbothered. It invites others to defend you, giving you influence without lifting a finger. You're no longer in the game, you're watching from above it. Mastery through restraint. The hardest skill in the realm of power is restraint. Anyone can lash out. Anyone can argue. Anyone can rant. But it takes inner discipline to sit still while being attacked. To feel the fire and not respond to it. To be publicly misrepresented and say, nothing. It's not passivity. It's power under pressure. Stoicism teaches that we are not disturbed by things, but by our interpretations of things. That silence is not weakness, it's strength in its purest form. Machiavellianism takes this further: silence isn't just strength, it's strategy. It invites your enemies to destroy themselves. Because the truth is, your enemies don't want justice, they want reaction. They want to see you flinch. They want to see you explain, over-explain, tremble. They want to see the cracks in your armor. So when they don't get it, when you give them nothing, they overplay. They get louder. More desperate. More unstable. And soon, they become the villain, and you become the unshakable man who never even entered the mud with them. You must let them fall on their own sword. Your job is not to fight every battle. It's to let others fight themselves trying to reach you. This is the final Machiavellian lesson: when you stop defending yourself, you force others to expose themselves. They escalate. You don't. They perform. You watch. They try to draw you into the drama. You walk through it like fog. And in the end, they collapse not from your attack, but from their obsession with your silence. You don't win the war by swinging the sword, you win it by refusing to bleed. The aura you build over time. This isn't built in a day. It's a way of life. A mindset. An identity you cultivate. Every time you refuse to explain yourself, you get stronger. Every time you remain calm under pressure, your legend grows. Every time you choose silence over self-defense, you deepen your aura. People begin to say, he's calm under fire. He never reacts. You never know what he's really thinking. He's dangerous, in the best way. And that is when you transcend reputation, you become myth. The final evolution, power that doesn't flinch. There will be moments when everything in you wants to speak. To clarify. To fix your image. To get closure. Don't. Hold the line. Because every time you do, you chip away at your mystery. You lower your frame. You descend into the crowd. The man of power does not need to be liked. He does not need to be understood. He does not explain. He commands. He observes. He defines. And those who try to smear his name only sharpen it. Because in the end, power isn't about what you say, it's about what others say when you say nothing at all. So remember this. The man who never defends himself isn't arrogant. He's disciplined. He isn't cold. He's controlled. He isn't detached. He's untouchable. Let them speak. Let them attack. Let them misunderstand. And let your silence echo louder than their noise. Because true power needs no defense, only presence. And once you master that, you don't just win the game. You become the game.